Take 59. Boy, do I have an interesting take this evening. Reminds me of old times. Reminds me of what brought on the Tino take in the first place. What inspired the Tino take in the first place? Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a moment. Steam links and a renewed approach to proof of brain. How excited was I that the Steam It team actually considered and thought the idea of Steam links could be interesting, could be something that could benefit the Steam It platform. And so I was excited about that. So we've moved from a tag, the Steam Links tag, to the Steam Links community. Now, we're going to work on this a little bit at a time because we knew to identify what kind of problems, I knew to identify what kind of problems this could create. I was well aware of it. And I'm hopeful and hoping that we can find some kind of solution to this. So if you're hearing about this for the first time, in Take 58, what I did was I announced that I was doing some Steam links. And Steam links are basically what most people are used to on other social media websites, where you can share a link that you find interesting from another author, from another website. And basically what you have is the title, the original title of the article, the original image of the article, the first paragraph or a relevant paragraph of the article, and a link to the article. Now, we're all familiar with this. We're all very familiar with this. In fact, we even have it on Steam It. If you look at the bottom of your post, you can see that you can share your post on Facebook. You can share your post on other platforms. This is part of social media. This is part of social networking. And so I find it disappointing that we don't consider this, and that we have not considered this more so in the Steam It environment. Now, I understand why, and the why is always the token, because people from the very beginning wanted to create, the originators wanted to create the idea that proof of brain would allow people to write articles and then have those articles trend based on the people who would vote on those articles. What Dan Larimer, what Ned Scott, what the founders, the pioneers did not calculate is the authors. It's fine to think to yourself that you can get Mike Adams from Natural News to come in and post up articles, which he actually did. Mike Adams, the health ranger, awesome content creator. I mean, absolutely awesome. He's a great hero of mine and of my generation in America, the Generation Xers. And he is an amazing researcher. He's got just so many qualities that make him an absolute awesome content creator. But he didn't get much traction in Steam It. Why? Because the original atmosphere that was created on Steam It was an atmosphere for crypto enthusiasts, not content enthusiasts. People want the crypto. People want the currency. People want the token. And that has mired everything that was supposed to ever happen for Proof of Brain, because Proof of Brain was meant to be something that would attract content creators. Those content creators would then publish, and what was published would then compete for the trending page. So if someone had an issue that they were wanting to find some good information on, that they could look into the trending page and, perhaps see what the community feels is important, relevant, useful. Unfortunately, that never happened. Instead, we had, and we continue to have, a flood of crypto enthusiasts who want to figure out how can they get cryptocurrency from just posting stuff up. And the pitch, the pitch for Steam It was, why be on Facebook? Why be on these other social media platforms where your content is being exploited and other people are making money off of your information, off of your content? Why not bring your content to Steemit where you can monetize it, where you can have it be valued, where your upvote, where you're, hitting the like button could actually have a value. But it never went that way. And I've seen good content creators come onto Steemit and they never got anywhere. And Mike Adams is an excellent example of that. Look at James Corbett. He's another example of that. Kerry Cassidy from Project Camelot, Benjamin Fulford. These are people who have a very dedicated following, but they could not integrate themselves into Steemit because what you find at Steemit is a group of crypto enthusiasts. So that's not a bad thing, but it destroyed Proof of Brain. It absolutely destroyed Proof of Brain because Proof of Brain was supposed to create a distribution system that allowed us and helped us and would help us to put value on content, give content a value. Instead, what we've had is the reverse. The value is in the token, so whatever content will do. Post up whatever you want, get a group of people, create yourself 10 accounts, fill those accounts with some steam and self-vote. All kinds of crazy things happened that were so unexpected that Dan Larimer, the creator of Steem, the creator of BitShares and EOS, the coder behind the one who wanted to code this idea and did code this idea, was left very disappointed because I suppose he had a more professional attitude and thought that more professional people would come into the system and really underestimated the explosion of crypto enthusiasts. We have to be mindful of the fact that we have a lot of crypto enthusiasts and not very many content enthusiasts. There are a good number of people who really would like to see more valuable content be shared on Steemit. Those are usually people who reach a certain threshold where they have enough steam that they don't care about the Steem token anymore. In the sense, not that they don't care that, they don't care what happens to it or if it gains in value or whatever, but that they're not interested anymore. You get beyond being a crypto enthusiast once you're on Steemit for a while. And then you start to feel a sort of disappointment that there aren't enough content enthusiasts, enough people who are willing to really look into quality content and share that content. We can't all be authors. We can't all be content creators. We can't all be journalists, investigative reporters. We can't all be Mike Adams or David Icke or anyone else or Alex Jones. There are authors, there are curators, and we have fallen on the side of the balancing of the scales where there's more curation than there is authors. So that's just the context to try to create an understanding of the frustration that I and others have been having because we don't see a growth in the user base. And the reason why, one of the reasons, there are many reasons, one of the reasons why is because people are used to a social media network in a certain way. People have been on Facebook, people have been on Twitter, people have been on Instagram, YouTube. These other platforms have created a culture for social media, which they expect when they go on to other social media platforms. So my idea was, why not juice up, why not spice up the Steemit platform with a couple, with some links, which are very popular, extremely popular. The sharing of links on other platforms is extremely popular. The problem here is that the sharing of links is very easy, and people can do it simply because they want to get rewards. Now, there was an app from one of the consensus witnesses, D-Like, who attempted to address this issue by creating a tribe, by creating a community, by creating an app that allowed you to do this very thing. Now, a lot of people were against it because they knew what was going to happen. People were just going to be grabbing links here and there because they want to get the token. Again, the crypto enthusiasts are what are ruining and stagnating the growth of the social media platforms, the apps that are on blockchains, because we need to find a way to get people who are less interested in the crypto and more interested in the content. So I wanted to start up Steam Links because I found it just sad every day that I come on and I look in the trending page, I look in the communities, and I just don't see people sharing things that are relevant to what is going on at the time. Now, people don't have to like what I like. That's not the point. The point for me is that I'm having to go to, I would like to be here. I would like to connect with people here. I'd like to get away from Facebook. I'd like to get away from YouTube. I'd like to get away from these other places that are going into a censorship frenzy, just deplatforming people and trying to control the narrative of what we as a society should believe. So my idea was I'm just going to start creating some Steam links in the same way that you would on other social media platforms, because those articles are there to be shared. If you can share them on Facebook, what's the problem with sharing them on Steemit? There's no problem with the content creators. Mike Adams doesn't mind if you share his articles on Facebook. Of course, they're going to be censored, and I know this because I've already done it. A lot of Mike Adams articles can't be posted on. There'll be you'll get a nice, lovely message that says the Facebook community finds this kind of material offensive. Well, the Steemit community, I don't think finds that material offensive, and Mike Adams doesn't mind if you share it, whether you share it on Twitter, whether you share it on. It's not a question of, these people who want to downvote and say, hey, you're violating the rules of social media. Really? I'm violating the rules of social media by sharing a very important link by someone who is very skilled in what they do. That should be an option of proof of brain. Sharing relevant, useful information that should trend so that other people can gain access and be exposed to that information. Now, D-Like tried to do something like that, but again, the problem was people want the token. So here's the problem. The Steemit team has kind of let me know that they're not against what it is that I'm doing. In fact, they've made a suggestion to create a community so that way it is easier to monitor. Now, the problem with Steam Links is if I attempt or others attempt to create a rewarding system for the links, then in comes the reward chasers, the people who just want to throw up any kind of link, whatever kind of link. So I'm seeing this as a challenge, and the Steemit team also responded that this would be an interesting challenge to moderate. Now, having said that and having had that response, I'm going to relax on this. I'm going to continue to share my Steam links. I'm going to brainstorm with my country representative and with people within the community who are willing to take this seriously and see what kind of approach we can come up with. I believe that the Steemit team is willing to curate something like this because they posted something up in the past in which they would like to dedicate one topic per day during the week. Now, that never really took off because I believe that there are not a lot of authors who have the skills to be able to write excellent articles, for example, on health, or excellent articles on technology. There is Palmer. Palmer writes a really nice article, and he shares links within those articles. The account name I believe is Remlapse, which is really Steve Palmer backwards. But he writes some really excellent articles on technology, artificial intelligence. He shares the links in there. I mean, I would love to have someone like that on board for Steam Links to share some really quality, interesting information that's out there. So we don't have an absolute lack, but we don't have enough people to be able to dedicate a day to health, a day to technology, a day to politics, a day to food and culture, a day to photography. We have all of these people. We have genuine authors and content creators who are, but how do you curate something like that? How do you curate something like that? Knowing what kind of onslaught, what kind of avalanche we're going to get with people spamming. So the Steam team suggested that it would probably be better as a form of a community. Now that's true, because in communities you can be muted. In communities we can see who you are. We can add moderators, and we can find posts, because perhaps, I don't know, maybe the Steam team and other developers know how to filter things. So you go into the community, and in the community you have your posts, and then you filter the posts so that you know, if it's Thursday and it's health day, you look at all the posts that have a sub tag of health. So there's a lot of different ways that we could approach this. At the moment, I'm just happy that I'm getting a positive response from Steamians, from the Steam team, as well as my country representative. And this could be a renewed approach, because D-Like already tried this. D-Like tried to do this. It is my opinion that they did not do it well, because they did not factor in the reward chasers. So there has to be, I believe there has to be another way that we can approach this and that we can do this. So don't expect anything exciting at the moment, or don't go running into the Steam Links community thinking you're going to get some upvotes, because we're working on the initial plans of how would we like to approach this. But I am very happy that the Steam team believes that this could be another form of proof of brain. Now, why I agree with that is because I've said this in the past. Proof of brain does not necessarily have to be your brain, right? If let's say Thursday is health day, you know, we're going to dedicate that day to, now I can either write a hard article on health, which I may not be good at, or I can find someone, for example, Mike Adams. I can go to naturalnews.com and I can find something in there on health, a health related issue, a healthy food, vegetable, a report from some university, some scientific experiment that, you know, gives us a deeper understanding of the issue of health. And on that day, for example, I'm just giving an example, I could post up a Steam link. And we can all post up lots of Steam links on health. And those Steam links could then be voted on based upon the interest that people have. Now, of course, people have to have interest in these things. So I don't know if it would be a good idea if we want to approach this in a rewarding way. In other words, you get rewarded, or if there's some other clever way that we can kind of, I don't know. I think that there could be other ways, but I haven't come up with anything just yet. But the idea is there. The seed has been planted, and we're going to go ahead and see what comes of it. Now, at the beginning of this take, I said this is going to be interesting because, here we go. Reminds me of old times when I had my moment of hive bashing. Now, seems like I'm going to have a moment of DTube bashing. So deciphering DTube's soft censorship has begun. Can you believe it? The censorship-resistant DTube has launched at the beginning of October, I believe it was. And we are now about 2 months in, coming to the end, and we have soft censorship. Censorship has begun on the censorship-resistant DTube. Now, I want you to all be very clear that this is not a judgment against the DTube team. This is not a judgment against the DTube founder, Hyman Danger, because he's an awesome dude. Hyman Danger is just an awesome, awesome guy. He's really, this is a labor of love that he put together. I mean, putting something like DTube together is not easy. But hey, I'm upset. I'm being censored. I don't care I don't care how you want to wrap this or how you want to justify. Censorship has begun on DTube, the platform that was supposed to be the answer to censorship. Censorship has begun. And censorship has begun in the form of a kind of downvote. Now, those of you who've been listening to this Smartcast for some time now, I mentioned this in the past. I mentioned this when I was talking about symbionts and how they were being downvoted, the abuse of the downvote. And I said, you will see, I predicted this. I said, you will see the downvote being abused on DTube eventually. So soft censorship has begun because there are people on DTube who have decided that you're not allowed to share video content if the video content is not yours. It doesn't matter if you have permission. These people have decided rigidly that you must share your own content. Otherwise, you will be downvoted in such a way that your videos will not be seen by certain people who have set their settings to not see negative videos. Now, who wouldn't want to I set my settings to not see pornographic videos and not see negatively voted videos. Little did I know what that actually meant. Now, as I mentioned in the last take, I went to go see my channel and my own video that I had posted up that was by James Corbett wasn't there. And I said, okay, what happened here? Where's the video? I shared it the previous day, and today I'm not seeing it. But that also means that many other people who have set their settings to negative, they're also not seeing it. So the intention here, the intention of these people who are downvoting, unfortunately, one is a person who's running a node. Another one is a DTube leader who I'm not speaking about that person. The DTube leader who I'll name him Tib Fox. I like Tib Fox. Tib Fox is an excellent DTube leader, but he seems to be orienting himself towards the idea that we need to start censoring people. Censorship. This is censorship. I don't care how you want to wrap it up in nice little words. It's censorship, but censorship not because you disagree with the content. Censorship not because you want to control the narrative, but censorship because you want to control the token. Now, let's get to the next issue because one dovetails right into the next one. Deciphering DTube, another victory for crony capitalism? ? Now, I talked about this in my Italian program yesterday and I didn't put the question mark, but today I'm going to put the question mark. Are we witnessing another victory for crony capitalism? We already saw crony capitalism on Hive. We continue to see crony capitalism on Hive. We're months into the Hive so-called revolution, and we still have the same exact people who are controlling the system. The cronies, the buddies, the ones who pat themselves on the back, the ones who give themselves a nice fist bump every time they get a nice little upvote, the only ones who are actually trending and the only ones who are actually gaining from the system. This is crony capitalism. So now I'm wondering myself, has crony capitalism infiltrated its way into DTube? It looks that way because the reason that this censorship is going on is because people don't want other people to gain the token, this damn token again. It's starting to seem like blockchain social media doesn't work. Monetizing through people who can gain from sharing content obviously isn't a good idea. Obviously, people don't really like the idea. We all heard the people when Steemit started up, Facebook, they benefit from what we share. They benefit from our interactions. We need to create something that's decentralized. We need to create something that's censorship resistant. All of the hoopla that we heard from the people who were originally flocking to Steemit, and then now those same wannabe anarchists have flocked to Hive. The idea was, let's create an alternative. But now in creating the alternative, guess what? You've become the next Mark Zuckerberg because you want to control the profit. Though these people who are censoring, they're censoring simply because they do not want people to earn tokens based on someone else's content. So if I share a video from James Corbett in the Corbett Report, which is Creative Commons, which you can reuse, or Gerald Celente, or other content creators who have some really interesting stuff. You see, this goes back even to the Steam links. When are we going to dedicate ourselves to content, become content enthusiasts, and not crypto enthusiasts? I mean, you can be a crypto enthusiast, but when you come to a social media network, a social media platform, you ought to also become a content enthusiast, and you ought to be looking for good quality content to share, to upvote, to have it trend. I mean, these are the same people who would be upset because YouTube is censoring, because Google doesn't allow people to trend. There's soft censorship on Google where they don't actually cancel you, though. They don't actually delete your stuff, but they make sure that if somebody does a search for a certain thing and your material has an answer to that search, your material can end up on page 15, which nobody really gets to. I mean, really, nobody really goes beyond page 3 or 4 of a Google search. So that's soft censorship. So now we're having a form of soft censorship here as well. So those same people who would point the finger at Google and say, hey, I thought you said do no evil. These are the same people now who have a little bit of tokens in their pocket. We got this cat and an owl, right? Who's just bent out of shape, and they get rewarded for this. These people who are downvoting are getting rewarded, and they already have a lot of tokens. And what I'm seeing in this crony capitalism is this idea that, hey, let's all huddle around in a corner, and those of us who have the most tokens, let's stick together. Let's create a buddy system where we can knock other people down, because we want to find any excuse for other content creators or content sharers. Because you have to understand that content creation is one thing and content sharing is another thing. On a social media platform, you want to share content or you want to create content. When I enter into DTube, I have been given the option by DTube to be able to share content from Instagram, share content from Facebook, share content from other video sources, from YouTube. I may be wrong about the Facebook thing, but you understand the point. I have been given that option. Having been given that option, why would you now tell me that option is quote unquote illegal? We have DTube police force who now are wanting to police the DTube platform, and they're making up the rules as they go along. If I'm given an option to share, then let me share. If I want to share videos from other platforms, if I want to upload videos that are from other content creators, let me do that. Let's actually decentralize. You guys are a bunch of wannabes. Really, I mean, I thought I was done with this with Hive, but it seems like this the Hive mentality is infiltrating its way into DTube, and so decentralization is going to be a thing of the past. And guess what? This soft censorship is a blueprint. It's a way of knowing that in the future, if we actually get some good content creators, some deplatform content creators, somebody just come in, buy up a bunch of tokens and just downvote the hell out of you. That way, your videos don't appear to everyone, just like Google does when they put your search results on page 15. They didn't actually cancel you. My videos, my content isn't actually being deleted from DTube, but there is a function, there's a tactic that allows for certain people to not see my videos. Either they're blurred or they're completely not showing up. That is a form of censorship, whether you like it or not. And the most disgusting part of all this is that the motive behind this is the token. People don't want me or other people who are sharing content to accumulate tokens. Are you afraid? Are you insecure? What is the problem? Do you want to see the price of DTC, the DTube coin, go to the moon? And if it goes to the moon, who the hell is going to buy it? Have you thought about that? If something becomes so expensive, see, this goes back to a previous argument that I had in which I was saying, do you really want abundance or do you want scarcity? Now, if you want your pocket to stay abundant, then you have to create scarcity, which means you don't bring other users on board. You close the door. And in fact, I see so many times when there's problems within DTube, if you go into the DTube Discord channel, the most commonly used phrase in the DTube channel is, drum roll please, buy more tokens. If you're having a problem, buy more tokens. If you're being downvoted, buy more tokens. If you don't want to do this, buy more tokens. And if you want to do that, well, if you want more bandwidth, buy tokens. We're here to concentrate not on content, but concentrate on the token. Well, why not just create a blockchain in which the only thing you have is a token? I'm seeing that people now are being influenced by the token. They're making decisions based on their profit or loss. Once again, we have a great problem within blockchain technology where you have problems with bots, because I've been assigned a bot. I'm being downvoted every time I post up, even if it's my original content. You know what's interesting? When you upload something or you share something on DTube, there's a box that you can tick, and that box is to identify whether you are uploading original content. So if I'm not uploading original content, I don't click the box. I don't tick the box. There's obviously an option there for a reason. And that option there for a reason means that you can upload something or you can share something that is not your content. Otherwise, why would you have a box that you can tick to determine or to say or to suggest or to identify that I am uploading or I am sharing original content? That means that unoriginal content is allowed, and that DTube would like for you to identify, are you sharing something that is original content? Yes, tick the box. So I'm ticking the box for the original content that I'm sharing, and I'm getting downvoted. I'm getting downvoted by a bot. So we have bot problems. We have cronyism problems, just like we had on Steemit, just like you have on Hive. And the abuse, because this is a form of soft censorship that can lead to hard censorship. Now, I know I'm jumping ahead because I like to be enthusiastic. I like to be optimistic and positive about the future. I would love to see DTube become a real competitor to YouTube. But could you imagine if it did? If it got very popular? How about Bill Gates comes in or Bezos or Larry Page, or what if somebody wants to come in and control the system? Well, you're giving them a blueprint on how to do it. Go in, buy up all the tokens. But you cronies would love that, wouldn't you? Those of you who have already got your token, you got your 25,000 tokens, you got your 10,000 tokens. Ooh, you would just love to have a big mogul with deep pockets come in and buy up all the tokens because obviously the price would go up, and that's what you care about. Return on investment. This has been the two biggest problems for blockchain social media: bots and return on investment. Has ruined everything. Fortunately, Steemit is still alive, but nearly everything else has failed because of bots and because of return on investment. So, for those of you who are downvoting me, I don't care. I don't care about the token. I care about my freedom of expression. I care about not being censored. I mean, I'm nobody. Come on, man. I'm not popular. I'm not making all these tokens. I'm not getting all these votes to have a bot by a node runner dedicated. I'm practically been blacklisted. And blacklisted for what? For what? I contribute original content to the platform. You ought to be happy. You ought to be grateful. You ought to be thanking me. But because I want to share someone else's content that I feel is important, I want to share other people's, I want to give support to other people who are better than I am. Gerald Celente is better than I am. James Corbett is better than I am. There are people out there who are better than I am at creating content. I want to support them. I want to support them. If I get some tokens, so be it. If I could have Gerald Celente, for example, become popular on DTube, don't you think, because I've known Gerald Celente, I've been a follower of Gerald Celente's work for years and years. I met the man. He's an extraordinary individual. He's an amazing man who can see the future. Do you think that if I shared his videos on DTube and they got really popular, and I got lots of votes and it started trending, do you not think that I would send him a message? Do you not think that I would write to him and say, listen, Gerald, look, people are starting to like your videos on DTube. Why don't you form an account? That way you have an alternative to YouTube. That way you don't have to concern yourself with whether they're going to censor you or deplatform you or delete your channel. You can have an alternative, and the community likes the things that you're sharing, likes what you're doing. Why don't you invest in some of the tokens? Because he likes blockchain technology. Why don't you come on board? Don't you think I'd do something like that? No, the problem is not the content. The problem is the token. Again, the problem is the token. You people are not genuine when it comes to, you're not genuine when it comes to being anarchist. You like to pretend you're anarchist. You like to pretend that you're really interested in decentralization. And you like to pretend that you want to protect censorship. Listen, that's enough for today. Thank you for listening, everyone. We will see each other on the next take.